Production. This analysis compares the financial information to understand how they manage their resources and remain competitive in the pharmaceutical industry. It reviews their income statements and balance sheets, allowing us to see how they generate revenue, control expenses, and structure their assets and liabilities. It also evaluates profitability and activity ratios, which show how efficiently each company converts operations into profits and uses its assets. Finally, it examines their working capital through the cash conversion cycle, determining how effectively they manage daily operations and short-term obligations. Next.
Which companies were used for the analysis? The companies used in this final project are three: Eli Lilly and CO, AV Inc., and Bristol Myers Squibb. What indicators were investigated? Indicators were financial statement, financial ratios, net working capital, and financial ratio charts.
What problems and solutions can be identified by doing this study? Well, basically, the main problem we can identify is the difference in collection periods because they basically delay cash inflows. We also can identify high inventory levels, which will affect the liquidity and also will increase the level cost. And by that, we can identify if we have a high revenue cost that reduces the company's profitability. And some of the proposed solutions will be to improve the accounts receivable management to speed up cash collection, also to optimize the inventory management to reduce costs and maintain appropriate levels, and by that, monitor profitability indicators to adjust spending and cost strategies. First, we have the financial ratios, the profitability ratios, and the first one is the gross profit margin, which is basically the division of the sales by the cost of goods sold. We can see that in Eli Co, the most of these remain between 70 and 80%. In AbbVie, they remain between 60 and 70, and in Bristol Myers, again between 70 and 80. We can see that in the chart that the lowest from the three companies was AbbVie. In the 3 years, the only year it was almost closer to other companies was 2024, which it was closer to Bristol Myers, but it was the lowest in the other 2 years.
And then we have the operating profit margin. So the operation of this, the operating profit margin is the operating income divided to the revenue and multiplied by 100. So in the chart, we can check that the Bristol Myers is the lowest of all the companies, and the highest is the Eli Lilly and CO. So yes, with that, 39%.
Now we're going to talk about the net profit margin about of the three companies. As we can see in the charts, again, Bristol Myers had the lowest fall of them all of the companies, which falls from 70.83 to negative 18.52, while the other two companies such as Eli Lilly and AbbVie remain kind of constant in a way. And yeah.
Then we have the financial ratios activity, which are basically the formulas that we will use later to create the cash conversion cycle. First, we have the inventory turnover, which is basically the cost of goods sold divided by the inventory. We can see here in the table that it basically remained between 1 and 1.5 days. Then we have the average age of inventory, where we can see, which is basically the 360 days divided by the inventory turnover that we got up there. And we can see that it remained between 200 and 300. Then we have the average collection period, which is basically the normal number of days that it took the firm to collect all the revenues from the sales. And then we have the average payment period, which is the average days that it took the company to pay to their suppliers. And as we can see here on the chart, there's a really huge difference between the average collection period and the average payment period, but in a good way, because the average payment period is bigger than the collection period, which indicates that it took the firm more time to pay to their suppliers than it took to charge to their customers.
Well, now we're going to talk about the financial ratings of activity of ABE Inc. Again, throughout the 3 years from 2022 to 2024, we can see that the inventory turnover maintains constant with not passing over 4 days. And then we have the average age of inventory, which in 2022 was from 74, and then 2023 72, 2024 89. The average collection period 69, then 63, and then again 69, and then the average payment period goes from 116 to 118 to 125, which again we can see here in the graphs that again it maintains certain type of constant values. It doesn't flutter that much.
And then we're going to check the inventory turnover in the Russell-Myers script. And we can see here in the graphic that in 2022, it was a little bit decreasing and then increased to 2024 to a 5.46. And then the average age of inventory in 2024 is 64, and in 2023 is 89, and in 2022 is 83. And we can check here in the graphic that in 2023 that it was the highest point in the average age of inventory with 196.71.
Then we have the net working capital, which basically proves if the firm has the liquidity to operate. And basically, we can know it by the formula, which is to subtract the current liability and assets. And in the case of Eli Lilly & Co., we can see that basically 2024 and 2022 were positive numbers, but 2023 was a negative number, which usually you could think that negative means they'll lose money, but it actually means that they were financed their operations and their inventories by someone else, not by their own money. And like I said before, it's very possible that it was financed by their customers' money.
Well, now we're going to talk about the net working capital of ABE. Again, as my partner just said, the formula is current assets less current liabilities. The thing with this company is that throughout the 3 years, the results have been negative. Again, this isn't negative at all, but it's something to look after for in the company.
Then we have the net working capital of Russell-Myers Squibb, and we can check that we have to rest the current liabilities with the current assets, and all are positives and are almost like regular numbers.
And then by that, we have the cash conversion cycle. And here we can see that the lowest from all the three companies was Eli Lilly & Co. because basically, because of the difference between the average collection period and the average payment period, there was a really huge difference in favor of the average payment period. So basically, the numbers being negative means that their customers' money was used to finance the next operations. So basically, it took them more time to actually pay their suppliers, and in that time, they first charged their sales to their customers, and they used that same money to finance the next month operations and inventory. And in the other ones, the ABA, we can see that the numbers are almost the same, except for 2022 where it was negative. And in Bristol-Myers, we can see almost the same. It was constant. And in the chart, we can prove it where the numbers are real close from each other, which means there was a really stable year. By last, my conclusion from Eli Lilly & Co., I could say that through this analysis of the firm, we can determine that it maintains a stable and consistent capital flow, and the results of the cash conversion cycle basically tell us that support this observation from showing that the inventory turnover has a relatively fast rate. And combined with the significant difference between the average collection period and the average payment period indicates that the firm reached a point of operational stability where they no longer need to rely on their own to finance the next operations or the inventory. And basically, is stable enough to work by only using the funds collected from previous months from their customers, which is a strong indicator for efficiency and liquidity.
Well, now it comes to my conclusion. The company I chose was Abdiel Inc. And I think that throughout this project, it was pretty shown to me that the company may be constant, maybe may have not taken risk, may have not have the lowest of the lows, but again, it doesn't grow as fast as other companies do. It kind of got stuck because by watching the finances of the company and the stocks of the company, it doesn't really falls, but doesn't really grow. So I think we can take this project as an indicator to really search solutions for that and to help the company to get more profits out of it.
And for the last, by analyzing all this information, in my opinion, I think that Bristol Myers has doing well and performed like in 2022 and 2023, but then this company decreased, and I understand that all the important things that can change in all cost, sales, and operation, and all the efficiency in all these operations. And if we don't check this as a great point of the company, there, yes, the company can broke or don't have like the financial health that we want. But yes, thank you.
And basically, that's all. So thanks everybody for your attention.